Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies. I'm your host, Jason Marshall. Regular listeners, I know what you're thinking. Jason messed up. He forgot to put the intro music in the show. Probably forgot to hit record when the show started. Had to scramble to do it again. That's not what happened. The next few shows, there won't be any intro music. I'm going to be using new intro music for the podcast, starting with the anniversary episode. That's going to be up Monday, July 31st. The new music's probably going to be drastically different from the old music, and just keeping music off the show till then, just so it's not that big of a shock. I've been wanting to change the music for a while. I keep saying I'm going to change the music, and I never have. I just never thought, at least for a while, I didn't think it fit the tone of the show. You know, you get this heavy metal music, and then here I am. And it just it didn't make sense.
Just a good old boy,
Yeah.
Bert. That's never doing no harm.
Mama Kate will be singing the new intro song.
No, I won't. Don't tell people that, because then they'll expect it. They'll demand it.
Ooh.
And then it won't happen, and then you'll just look like an ass.
That music was actually for a show that I used to do that I've erased from the internet. And since I own the rights to the music, I thought, well, I'll just carry it over to this show.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just don't think it fits,
Yeah.
you know? And there's going to be a lot of changes coming up on the anniversary show, but we will get into that on the anniversary show. We're not going to talk about that today, but the months of Jason just keep going. What better way to celebrate the months of Jason? This particular month, I'm bringing on all the people that have helped me get to where I am. And one of those people is the most frequent guest on the show. It's Mama Kate.
That's me.
Yeah.
And where exactly have I helped you get, Jason?
To the upper bottom of iTunes.
The upper bottom. Woo!
You know, I don't even know where we are on iTunes. I never look. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, I tuned in to Cave Crew Radio Thursday. Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to be on there.
Well, we had a family emergency, but beyond that, they never sent me a link or number or any way to get a hold of them or contact them on the show. Every time they've asked me to come on, they say, we'll send you a link. And then I get nothing. And then they're like, where were you? And I'm like, where the hell am I supposed to be? You know?
Yeah. They said something about I guess they have their own version of martial law over there. It's, I don't remember what it's called. Do you? I think it has something to do with New York City, like a alleyway justice or something.
Yeah, something like that. I did hear, but I don't remember.
I was looking forward to hearing you on there. I forget what the case was supposed to be about.
Is slandering Choo Choo Stew,
No.
actually, yeah. Which, after having listened to their show, I'm like, really? You're gonna... I don't see how anything I said could have possibly slandered any individual on this show. You guys do that great all by yourselves.
I did hear, I think it was DK say that martial law doesn't have international jurisdiction.
But yeah, they didn't know that question had already been settled previously.
But I gotta say, I gotta take issue with people who say that. Because I have frequent guests on here from New Zealand, the UK, and Canada. And I'm not throwing this out there to brag. It's just a fact that we have, for some reason, been downloaded in over 100 countries. I'm not saying I have regular listeners in 100 countries. That would be awesome.
Just saying that in 100 countries, people have accidentally clicked on this podcast.
I would be right next to Joe Rogan if I had people in 100 countries. I don't think Joe Rogan has people in 100 countries listening. So I don't want anybody out there thinking that I'm overinflating shit. But I think it's pretty fair to say we have international jurisdiction just as well as anybody else.
Yeah.
And just as a little tease, we might have even more credit internationally starting on January 31st with the 2-year anniversary episode.
Why do you keep saying January 31st?
I don't know.
July 31st.
I guess, it's so weird. That's the second time I've said that.
Yeah,
we had to start the show over because I started out that way. Yeah. The 2-year anniversary, I will be announcing something that will happen in January. So stay tuned at the end of the month. There'll be a special announcement about next year. I don't think we have had a show since the Diesel show.
I know, I don't think so.
I want to thank everybody who performed.
What
Everybody
a disaster that.
That's what I was going to say. Everybody who performed did a great job. But the show as a whole, besides the performances, could not have went worse, I don't think. We had 2 people cancel last minute.
Yeah.
One canceled the day of the show.
Yeah.
One just didn't show up.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of not showing up, neither did the audience.
Well, no,
but it's not their fault.
No,
we had so
we
much.
had actually known that, and I tried to dissuade the bar from having the show that night because of the things that were going on in town.
Yeah,
It was Pride weekend. This is a gay venue. They were having a memorial for the Pulse shooting that night. So, I mean, right there, that took away. Plus, they were having
there was
a Journey tribute band down at the park.
Yeah.
And another comedy show at a bar across town.
And the only other gay bar, like you said, they were having this huge fundraiser.
Yeah, for the Pulse shooting, yeah.
Their regular clients were presumably going over there at least
in
for
fact,
the night.
Even the owners of Diesel, where we were at, left as soon as the show was over and went over there. So, and I guess that's, them being bar owners, they're like, oh, it'll be fine. Me having done comedy now for a few years and having done enough shows to know better knew.
We had a stacked deck against us. I mean, there's nothing else they could have thrown out there except for there was just a surprise Barnum and Bailey circus where they're bringing elephants back right next door. That's the only way it could have been worse. And
I had it in my head when we originally did the show. I was like, all right, I haven't done any shows since my accident. I'm gonna do this. I need to get back on the actually performing in front of people. I guess it was just a cockiness that before I broke my leg, I had done 12 shows in 3 weeks. So I was doing a lot of shows at the time when I broke my leg. So I didn't have to prepare or, I kind of work out the bits and then I'd write notes about what I was going to do and then I would go on and everything would be fine. And for some reason, I still thought I could do that being out 2 years. And I think I thoroughly proved that that was not the case. It was a pretty horrifying experience. And the worst part was knowing that you had recorded it and were putting it on the podcast for people to listen to. And I'm like, what can I do?
Well, that was the other disaster. I think if anybody listens back, I don't think anybody ever noticed anything really went wrong because I took parts of that out.
Yeah.
But that was the other part that did go wrong is the person who usually helps me record the show, we were going to do it a different way where I plugged my recorder directly into the mixer and we were going to have another recorder out in the crowd to get the crowd reaction. And I was going to put the 2 audio recordings together.
Yeah.
And that way we would finally have a recording that sounded awesome. And we thought we had it this time, but the guy couldn't make it out.
Yeah.
And now you got a recording where you can't hardly hear any of the audience and all of the comedians have a slight echo. Which, if you listen to that show and you listened all the way through, God bless you. I really appreciate that. And it was a great performance by everybody who did it. So you were going to get some laughs out of it, but it's kind of hard to listen to somebody do stand up and hear no crowd reaction to.
It is.
But I did say I was going to put the show out.
So
I knew some people were listening, just waiting for that show to come out. So.
Well, I know of famous comedians who, and I won't mention names because I don't want to embarrass this person if people don't know this about him, but there is one comedian I know of specifically who did a special for Comedy Central, and it went so horribly that they showed it one time at 2:00 in the morning, and this comedian actually walks off stage in the middle of it. Wow. And that was the end. At the time, I thought it was a joke, but that was no, that was really the end.
Damn.
So I was like, well, at least it didn't go that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's good to have that experience getting back into it because it's like, oh, yeah, this really sucks. Now I remember why I had to work so hard in the beginning, before I got to the point where I was doing shows every weekend and I didn't have to work so hard at it.
And it's got to get better from here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It can't get that bad.
Yeah.
So are you going to do it again?
The problem that I'm having right now is just coming up with new material. I had this stuff that I was doing before my accident that I had solid. I had it down. It was good. But since my accident, I just feel like, I don't know, like I don't have it. It's like something, like I've lost something, some part of like some brash self-confidence that I had before I did something so incredibly stupid that has now made me doubt my entire self, like when my 85-year-old grandma thinks that it's safer for her to drive than for me to drive, like I know that my credibility is seriously taking a hit. And yeah, I just don't have that. Yeah. And I don't know.
Since we're talking about gay bars, I have a scenario for you. I want you to help me out on this. I'm a Big Brother fan. I love Big Brother. I watch every episode on TV, and I watch the After Dark episodes every night. We were talking about it when it first debuted. It was me and my oldest daughter, my wife. And there's a gay guy on Big Brother. His name's Ramses. I hate that kid. And the reason I hate him is because he's just a little too over the top. If you've never seen Big Brother, it's kind of hard for you to imagine this maybe. I'll do the best I can to describe it, but there's a portion of the house where you can walk upstairs and there's like a little balcony area with the table. You can clearly see over the railings, and they were trying to figure out if anybody was coming up to hear what they were talking about. The Ramses kid gets on the floor and is military crawling over to the edge so he can look down to see if anybody's coming up the stairway, when everybody else who was sitting at the same table as this kid just barely moves their neck up and can see no one is coming. So that really annoyed me. There were small little things like that. And my oldest daughter says that I'm homophobic because I don't like that kid. And there was a woman who was on the season before. She was a lesbian. I didn't like her because she was very manipulative and she cried all the time.
Yeah. It's
the same reason I can't stand the lady who is in Homeland. She's not gay, so that's not why I hate her. I hate her because she tears up all the time, and it's too much overacting.
Well, I think for people, we just naturally don't like certain people, and you don't like them not because he's gay, but because he's annoying to you. I mean,
that's what I said. But then she said, well, the season before that, there was another gay person on. He's Ariana Grande's brother. His name's Frankie. And I didn't like him because he was way too over the top. I like reality shows where people don't act like they're on reality shows.
Yeah.
I want people to be themselves and be real. And you could tell to me, it seemed like he was portraying a character.
No,
and I'm sure
exactly
that probably is his personality, but he seems very fake.
I can think of one person in particular that I'm friends with on Facebook. And when I read this person's posts, I'm like, wow, it's almost like you're trying to be a stereotype. Like it makes me want this person to be real. Like give me something real, because this stuff that you're talking about isn't you,
Yeah.
And I don't like that either. I know what you mean.
We can talk about Doug Morgan later, but I want to get back to Big Brother. I'm just kidding, Doug, if you hear this. But I told them I don't dislike them because they're gay.
Yeah.
The reason I don't like them is because I don't like them.
Yeah. I think if you were truly homophobic, you wouldn't have jumped at the chance of having a show at a gay club. You know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was the other thing. I love Amanda Sue Fuck Punch.
Yeah.
I love her. She's amazing. I want to have her on the show sometime.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe that's why she hasn't been on the show. Maybe deep down, I really do hate gay people. No, I'm just kidding. But that's something that I brought up. But I do wish we would come up with another word, though, because I hate the term homophobic.
Yeah.
Because any other phobia, if you have arachnophobia,
nobody's
you don't
like, you're an asshole. Why don't you like spiders?
Yeah, nobody's going on Facebook spreading anti-spider propaganda because they're afraid of spiders. And it just seems weird that people who are intolerant,
anti-spider propaganda.
It just seems weird that I would rather call people like that intolerant. It seems a lot more harsher than homophobic. I just wish we had a better word. We need to work on that. Maybe we'll work on that in season 3 of the show.
Come up with a better word. Other than homophobic.
Yeah. Speaking of gay people and alcohol, a bear walked into the open front door of an Alaskan liquor store. The owner of the store was scared shitless. He was working. He said he saw the bear walk in. At first he thought it was just a really large dog, realized what it was, and just completely froze up. Who could blame him?
Yeah.
It would scare the shit out of me.
He just had to get party supplies. I mean, what a bigot against bears. I mean, a bear comes into your place and you're so scared.
You're homophobic.
You
don't like bears of any kind.
Is it because it was a black bear?
The thing that really got me, I watched the video, and maybe we need to start this award. This guy would get it hands down. Balls of steel. There was a customer in there that just walked right up to the bear, yelling and clapping his hands till the bear walked out.
Yeah.
And I thought, Jesus, I know they tell you to make a lot of noise and do that, but who really has the balls to be like, you know what? That seems like the right plan.
Shoo, you bad bear.
I'm not going to lock myself in the storage room.
You're not even 21. Let's see some ID.
I'll have the video of that up on the Facebook page and or the website, but dude, that blew me away. And I would be the owner. I wouldn't be the guy just, I don't know, maybe I would. I played with a skunk for a half hour in my backyard, but I never thought I'd do that either.
Here they are just like cats. I mean, people get their scent glands removed and keep them as pets.
No, he came up and was sniffing my shoes.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked about this on the show before, so I won't talk about it anymore. But when he did that, I thought, man, if anything spooks this guy, I'm done. It's not like I can run from this distance.
Yeah,
he is in front of my shoes. Yeah.
Did I tell you about the time my sister invited me over to have pizza and watch movies with her and stuff? Yeah, so I go over, we go out back, we're sitting on the patio. Her cat walks up on the patio. Like, oh my God, what is that smell? He had just been sprayed by a skunk. So our night of pizza and movies turns into, you got to help me wash this cat. Now, of course, I'm allergic to cats. You know, and if cats scratch me, like I swell up, I have a hard time breathing. And so I'm like, I can't hold the cat. You know, so my sister's holding him, like cuddling him, trying to keep him still, while I'm standing at the sink with the sprayer, just spraying the shit out of her and the cat from as far away as I can get. Like, shh. So that was fun. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, guys, we're going to take a really short break. We're just going to play one segment this week. It's Fake Advice for New Comics by Dave Nelson.
And now, Comedy A Go-Go presents Fake Advice for New Comics.
How will other open micers know how funny your set was if you don't tell them about how you crushed it?
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com.
You can also call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail. All of that contact info will be in the show notes. And I was a guest on the Comedy A Go-Go podcast with Dave Nelson. That was a segment you just heard. That will be out this Wednesday. Make sure you look for a link in the show notes for his podcast and listen to that. And I want to thank him for having me on. That was a lot of fun. And he will be on this podcast either this Thursday or next Thursday. Another podcast that I was on happened while it was storming outside this week.
Yeah.
I told the guy, just in case, hey, we're having a major storm.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, I didn't hang up on you. You didn't say something to offend me. It just, the power went out. I'll be damned if this apple tree in my backyard just got uprooted and fell over. And I was kind of happy about it.
You didn't want the tree?
No. And the only reason I kept it is my little girl likes to climb the tree.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, I would have cut it down years ago. So now that it fell over, it's like, oh, well, sorry, kid.
People want apple trees because they think they can just plant an apple tree and it's just going to give you these beautiful apples, but it's not. Like, it has to be maintained and cared for like a tomato plant or, a watermelon plant. It's not just, you can't just plant it in your yard and have it give you these perfect apples.
Yeah.
And then you don't take care of them, so you don't want them, you don't eat them, and then they just fall on the ground, and then the birds get them, and the bees are hovering all around. I mean, they're just a pain in the ass. You got to pick them all up because you have to mow. It's a horrible idea. Don't buy an apple tree.
I was really happy that it fell, to be honest with you. And the thing was, at least 40 years old. Yeah. And I don't know how many people out there really know much about apple trees, but once they get to a certain age, the apples really aren't that good anymore. Yeah. So I was wanting to replace it, and now I get to.
What are you going to replace it with?
Well, I'm going to put another, it's probably a Red Delicious apple tree. I already got a Yellow Delicious one out there, so I'm just going to have that so they can pollinate each other. And anyway.
But did you make sure to get a male and a female tree?
I don't know.
Just messing with you.
I did buy a ginkgo tree. I talked about this a long, long time ago on the show, but apparently, I think it's female ginkgo trees have these pieces of fruit that are on them. When they get ripe and they fall off the tree, it smells like rotten eggs and vomit.
Ew.
But it's only the females. So I made sure when I bought it, I'm like, this is a male, right? And they're like, yeah, we only buy males. And in the back of my mind, I thought, I'm never going to know if it's a female until it's like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And then it's too late. And I got this big ass tree in my yard that I have to cut down.
Just for future reference, they will not take the tree back.
Yeah.
My cousin bought 2 plum trees, but they were supposed to be the non-fruit bearing plum trees. And one was a non-fruit bearing plum tree, but one is not. And she wanted to take it back, and they would not take it back. Which I think there should be some accountability. You get somebody the wrong tree. I mean, they put them in her car. It's not like she picked them out and said, I want this one and this one. She said, I want 2 of these trees, and they went and got them and put them in her car, and they were not right. So that's her fault? That seems like they should have to take that tree back.
Especially with the ginkgo tree, because it clearly has a very bad problem with these smelly fruits, but...
Put that right up next to the house.
Yeah, that's why it's in the backyard, just in case. Oh, I have a question from my last guest. We haven't done this for a while. The premise is I get a question from my last guest to ask my next guest without my last guest knowing who my next guest will be. So if you'd like to know who my last guest was, please listen to the last episode. And don't cheat. Don't go in the archives and just look at the person posted, which would be way easier. And to be honest, would probably be hard not to do if you're downloading the episode. I don't know if I could just do that. Whatever. The question is, what would be the first thing you would buy or service you'd pay for if you hit the big time lottery jackpot?
I'd go buy a house on Lake Erie.
That sounds nice.
We vacation at the same place every year since I was in junior high, Lakeside on Lake Erie, and it's by Marblehead and Put-in Bay. You can see Put-in Bay. You can see the lighthouse from there. But it's just like this gated community. You have to have a pass to get in. You pay to be there. And so it is the safest place I have ever been. And they have activities for the kids. They have entertainment in the evenings. They have putt-putt. They just build a pool. They have, parks and all kinds of stuff. And it's only about a mile squared. Like, it's a pretty small place. But
so you can walk to everything.
Exactly. Yeah. You ride your bike. You walk. You park your car up in the lot. You don't even keep it around. They have a movie theater. They have shops. They have everything there. And we've gone there every year. And my parents have a camper up there, but it's so expensive to buy a house. To buy a house at the lake there, it's a couple $1 million, which you think like Lake Erie in Ohio, who's buying these $1 million houses on the lake? But it's surprising.
I've been there a few times. It's pretty nice up there. So that's a good choice.
And I'd buy one for us and then one for my family to stay at because they're not staying with me. I love you, but there is such a thing as too much togetherness. So we'll have a house and then like a guest house next door.
I like that. Well, guys, we're going to cut things a little short this week. So that leads us to this week's Dumbass of the Year. This week's Dumbass of the Year was in Florida, where Port Orange police arrested a man for stealing a forklift to get him where he needed to go because he was tired of walking. The man is 43-year-old Bradley Barefoot. No shit, that's somebody's real last name. When they arrested him, the man was on a forklift, parked in a handicap spot, screaming and yelling curse words at nobody while he threw his hands in the air and was barefoot.
Well,
So I thought that was funny.
Barefoot thing is probably like his regular way.
Yeah, he's living that barefoot lifestyle.
Exactly. What other way is there to be in Florida in summertime?
When your name's Barefoot, man.
I mean, I guess I understand why he had to park in a handicap spot. I mean, it was the spot that was big enough to leave the. Did you say it was a front loader or a bulldozer? What?
It was a forklift.
A forklift. Oh, a forklift.
Yeah, so that's even more just glaring, you know?
Yeah.
How, as a police officer, can you just drive by and see this guy? And just like, no, that seems fine.
It's all right.
Yeah.
He's good. I'm sure he's licensed. Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to just drive those on the roadway. I mean, it's like a regular vehicle. I don't know what the rules are. But I could understand that. I mean, I've certainly been tired and thought, you know what? I could drive this fucking forklift. They clearly left the keys in here for anyone to use.
Yeah. What's great is this isn't the first time the guy has been arrested. Mm-hmm. And I think being arrested for this and how he was acting when he was arrested, you kind of figured he's probably been arrested before.
Yeah. Drugs?
He was arrested for the exact same thing last year. The exact same thing.
Well, it worked out so well the first time.
What a dumbass. And not just the exact same thing as far as stealing a forklift. Exact same reason. Mm-hmm. And he was barefoot then, too.
Did park in a handicap spot as well.
I don't know. I have to check into that. He just found, the last year, he found one behind Best Buy.
Oh, yeah.
And just fired it up and took it.
Well, who hasn't wanted to just drive a forklift willy-nilly?
Well, he's got to be tired because if he's behind Best Buy, he's already taken shortcuts to wherever he needs to go. So he's clearly very tired.
Well,
he's not sticking to the main
when
roads.
You're barefoot and walking around in hot-ass Florida, you just need to get off your feet.
That's so fucking weird.
That is weird.
How?
It was so rude to park in a handicap spot. I mean, they're at a premium these days, people.
I just don't know how you think you're going to get away with it. I mean, I know you're tired.
Away with it.
I know you're tired and you want to get to where you need to go.
But where does he need to go?
But the point is getting to where you need to go. You're not going to get to where you need to
barefoot?
go.
It's not like he's headed to work, you know?
How are you going to get to where you need to go if you get arrested?
Yeah.
And you know it's going to happen. You're driving down the fucking road on a forklift, dumbass. That's pretty conspicuous. People are going to notice that. Mm-hmm. It's fucking weird. He is the epitome of this week's Dumbass of the Year. Mm-hmm. He might go all the way. He might win it. He could be he's definitely the guy that's in the lead, I would say. Well, I want to thank you for being part of the podcast. It's been 2 years. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah. You've been on, I'd have to say you've been on more than anybody in the last 2 years. So, and I also want to thank all the people who download the show. Please keep spreading the word about the show, especially during the months of Jason. I have a lot of stuff planned and can't wait for you guys to find out what it is. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. And that's it for this episode. I'll talk to you Thursday.